For the map we made earlier, there was no need to zoom in or pan around to understand the data we were presenting, right? We could see the whole country, we could see all the states, and that worked just fine. But sometimes you'll want to present data in a way that you want your audience to be able to zoom in close, maybe find their city or their street. And for that, you'll also need to include things like streets and parks and lakes and oceans. Well, one way to do that is to use a service like Mapbox. This provides information in the form of tiles, so you can just look at the part of the world that you're interested in at the moment. And you've seen this, I'm sure. Google Maps works the same way. You can zoom in, zoom out, and pan around. So I want to show you how to make that kind of a map using Mapbox. Let's get started. In order for us all to work together using this basically the same computer, we're going to go to glitch.com and log in there. If you haven't signed up already, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, you click on login and you use the method of logging in that you used when you signed up. And then use this magnifying glass here and look for Keef-Mapbox. And that should pop up this workshop, the Keef Mapbox workshop, and you want to click on that. Now, this is my project that I want to share with you, but before you do anything else, be sure to scroll up here and find this Remix Your Own button. The emoji here may be different. It changes with every load, but that's the button you want. What that will do, it will give you your own copy of the code, and that's code that you can play with, you will have, you can edit, and you can come back to and reference later on. It could even be days or weeks from now when you're like, oh, I want to go back and try that out. That'll be there for you. So make sure you remix it, and you will end up looking at a screen that's something like this. A couple of differences. One, your name here up in the corner, or the name of your project, won't be the same as mine because you have a new copy of the code. You can change that if you'd like using settings and edit project details, and you can change the name. It gives you sort of a silly name, and you can change it so you can find it later. And the other thing is, if you don't have this preview pane open, if it didn't happen to open when you started, you can just click down and there's a preview button at the bottom of the screen, and if mine were closed, it would give me an option to open it, and that's where you would open that preview pane, and so then we can see what's going on. All right, let's take a quick tour of your project here. Basically what you have, we said over here, you have a preview of what we're looking at. We have a map here. And then over on the left, these are the files that we have in our project. And the license is just saying, go ahead and use my code. The README file is actually this file in the middle, this text file with some formatting. It's called the Markdown or MD file, and it's just got some information here, including information about the token, how to use these maps on your site, and other things. So it's just a reference document for you. Index.html is the main HTML page where our map lives. And if you're familiar with HTML, you might be able to see what's going on here. We're loading in the Mapbox code and styles here and here. Down here is a div, and this is actually the container for the map. Again, if you know HTML, great, you can sort of recognize this. We're not going to actually touch this document at all. At the bottom here, we have style.css. That's actually doing some basic styling as well. Also, not going to touch that. Really, what we're going to be playing in the entire time is this file script.js, and that is where we are going to load in different pieces of code and try them out. So let's just take a look at what we have here. it starts out with this access token, and this is a big long string of letters and numbers that is actually my access token. So I'm leaving it here for this workshop, and throughout the workshop you can go ahead and use it. And what it's basically doing is it's essentially charging me for the map usage. But because we're not making that many maps, it's actually still free for me too. But after the workshop, I'm going to disable this access token. And so you're going to need to put in your own access token from your own Mapbox account. So that's in the README how to do that. But for now, it's fine. You can just leave it with my access token and it will work just wonderfully. The next thing you can see here is this is JavaScript. This entire file is JavaScript. And again, you won't have to write code. We're going to do copy and pasting of things, but I want you to be able to understand what's going on here. Basically, in this little block, we're building the map, and this is where it all happens. First, it says container is map. That was the div we were looking at in the HTML. It's just called map, and that's the identification of the place where it should go. The style is actually very cool. We're using this style right now, which is kind of this green land and blue water and these cities and states. I'm looking at the United States. It's the entire world here. And it's called streets because if you zoom in, you can start to see all the streets and things. So this is actually super useful, right? This is different than what we had before with Data Wrapper. It's a little bit more like Google Maps. And there are actually several different styles that you can use here. For example, if I change this, and you can go ahead and try this too, to satellite, and then V9, so that's version 9 of the satellite, in a minute you actually get a satellite image of the entire globe. You can actually see the whole planet here. And so that's another version of the base layer. See, we have all of these tiles and it goes all the way down and you can see almost individual trees. Yes, definitely individual trees and houses and things. So that's the advantage of these kinds of slippy maps where you can have a lot of information and they're loaded in by the company, by Mapbox already. So we're just gonna turn that back to streets V11 just because it's a little bit easier to navigate. The center is the longitude comma latitude of where it should center the map when it starts. So if I reload this, its center is right here. The zoom is the zoom that it starts at. And so if you change this to 6, say, and then you can see it zooms in to 6 the level 6 zoom for Mapbox, which is a little bit closer. And then 10, let's try that. So that gets really close down. It's down to the highway and little streams and lakes level. So the higher the zoom level, the closer it is to the planet, basically, the more magnified it is. And again, these are the initial start points. And let's put that back to 3. And there we go. So let's do one other modification. I'm going to add buttons to this map so we can zoom in and out. And I'm also going to show you how we're going to add code to our map. If you, everything below this starred line here is commented out. It means that the computer is not actually using any of this code. And you can tell because it's grayed out. It's a little bit grayer than everything else. This is all very colorful, but this is being ignored. But if we move it above this line, it will actually start to work. So let me show you what I mean. If I copy this, just highlight it and then just say copy and then paste. Now it's colored, and it means that it is alive, it's being read. And you can see over here we have new buttons on our map. We have a plus and a minus, and the plus makes it zoom in and the minus makes it zoom out. So that makes it a little bit easier to use. You can also use your scroll wheel or your trackpad. I'm using 2 fingers to zoom in and out, but that way you can add your controls. And we'll keep doing this. In order to play with our map, we will copy code from below here and paste it up in this sort of extra space that we have right here. So that's how we get started using JavaScript to make our Mapbox maps. I'm going to keep giving you the code you need, so you don't have to worry about figuring that out yourself or looking it up. But if you did want to explore some more, there are many examples in the Mapbox documentation, and so you can take a look at it there. But again, for now, I will be giving you the code you'll need. Next time, we're going to start looking at plotting data that's point data, so latitude and longitude data, and we're going to start with charting earthquakes.